This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, Millie. How we going? Hey, good, thanks. It's like 6 a.m. I don't know where you, it's not 6 a.m., it's 10 a.m. now. I don't know where you live, but I've had a class all morning talking about goal setting, which was pretty fun. Um, Probably one of my favorite things right after plants. So I'm pretty excited to talk to Daniel, and I'm gonna go feed my cat because he's looking at me like, bro, you don't feed me now, I will ruin your class. Come on, man. Alrighty. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna say that's the man.
How are you?
Hello, hello.
How
Always
you
Jack.
doing?
Good.
Sorry,
Oh,
I'm just trying to get this sorted out.
look at that. Oh, you got some awesome bonsai right there.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I just brought some inside. Hey.
How's your day been? How's your weekend been?
Um, I've been volunteering at Huntington today, so it was pretty good. I trimmed a giant bevel in a forest,
Cool.
like 12 trees, 8 hours.
Damn.
I'm stuck like this. It's
Yeah,
been fun. How's your day going?
pretty good. It's 10 a.m. here on Sunday, and I helped my brother move yesterday all day, it's always really fun helping someone move houses because it's like laboring away at lifting stuff, and then your back's nice and sore. But then I had my class this morning. We're doing goal setting, which was pretty good.
That's cool.
Little goal setting
Very
class.
cool.
Talk about setting good goals with your life, and then breaking them down to like what you're doing every day and working towards them in a what I would say is more of a healthy way than just like, you know.
That's cool. How many people did you have for that class?
Today we had 4 people come, but there's 12 in the group, so I think the others will catch us a little later in they'll watch the recording and stuff like that. Daniel, if you haven't already, would you mind sharing my story on Instagram so we can see if there's anyone else that wants
Yeah, sorry.
uh,
Oh,
just so that I think your audience would be even more excited to know about it. So
yeah, let me work at that. Where are you? Yeah, my phone got stolen over the weekend, so I've been downloading all my apps. So I haven't been really focusing much on Instagram.
oh, that's fun. Phone breaks are really fun. Right.
Oh yeah, then you got to get back into it all again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then doing all those passwords and downloading all the apps again is a killer.
Oh, it is a killer, eh? It's like kind of draining as well, and then you feel like sometimes you lose a few things as well. Did you lose any photos?
Um, Only of that day.
Not too
Only of
bad.
that day. I was at a little music festival,
Mm.
and the worst thing is I knew it was going to happen. I felt it, and it just got stolen out of my pocket. Dang. You see right?
I cannot see you. I haven't checked
Oh, what
this.
happened? Oh, disappeared, did I? I'll video off.
Ah,
There
there
you
we go.
go. Yeah, today's been all go, go, go. Is it better landscape or straight up and down?
Landscape. Then we get to see more of those cool bonsais. Can you pull the camera and just show us your bonsais in the background really quickly? That'd be really cool too. What do you got there?
So here's the cork, the cork oak.
Wow.
This tree was like a big bush when I got it about 4 years ago, and I've just been focusing on pulling the branches down and then making the pads and making the leaves a lot smaller too, because the leaves are probably about quarter the size they were when I got it.
Right.
And there's a little bougainvillea.
Oh, damn. I like how munted and gnarly the trunk is on it.
Yeah, that was actually. If you look at this side here, oh, this is a tree I saved from someone's yard. They said it was dead. They tended their house for termites and
Yeah.
burned all the leaves on it. And see all that there?
Yeah.
They chopped it out with an axe, and I told them it was alive. And I fished it out of the bin. And it gives me these flowers 3 times a year.
Beautiful. Yeah. Bougainvilleas have really nice flowers, but I mean, in my garden we have a couple of big ones, and the spines are just not nice.
Yeah, with this one, like what I do is every time I go in and cut it, which is about 3 times a year, I take out all the spines.
Yeah.
So there's never a surprise.
That's
It's
nice.
the first thing you put your hand in there. Ah!
Yeah.
And this little guy is a jade. It's off my hedge in the front yard. I can show you my yard too if you like. Um,
Yeah, that'd be
it's off a
cool.
100-year-old hedge. I've been growing it now about 4 years, and this rock is a lava rock. But
Cool.
this part here is clay, and I built this up to turn it into a pot. And this lives inside.
That's really cool.
And I put some little mementos on it, little charms
Yeah,
to
no.
remind me, just focus jewelry, remind me of like things I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
the nice thing with bonsai is it gives you a good focus to focus your energies on. Like today, 8 hours, I was just watching and being in the tree. Um, and you can only have one thought at one time. So if I'm thinking and trying to work out what I'm doing in the tree, then I can't think about anything else. And you really get in this zone of peace. It's kind of cool. And then while you're still working on the tree, trying to work out, because a lot of this sort of in here, as this grows, I'm going to want to make sure I keep all the internodes small and I keep the shape, make little dome sort of shapes on here. So it means that with the end start getting too big, you got to bring it back down again. And sometimes you can take too much off.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure. So how do you you immediately raised a question in my mind. How do you make the leaves smaller?
Through ramification. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. One is over time. Every time I cut these leaves,
Yeah.
the leaves that come out are going to be a little bit smaller because they don't have the energy that the bigger leaves would have had.
Yeah.
So I'm reducing the energy on the plant. I'm also not fertilizing, like on pine trees. I don't fertilize when I'm cutting or when it's growing because I don't want it to grow too much. Um, so they're the main ways, but you can also, like in a maple or you can defoliate. So partly during summer, you can take off all the leaves, and the next set of leaves that come on will be much smaller.
Yeah, cool.
I defoliate this tree once a year. It's a coastal oak. It's what we call like an evergreen oak, but around the late winter, so we can get some frosts, and they'll quite often knock off all the leaves anyway, and
Oh,
then the
yeah.
tree will just lock them all off, and then it'll just start off fresh. But you've really never noticed it as being deciduous.
Yeah.
So I did that on this tree just so that now I won't lose any leaves over the year. It's always going to look fresh and green, and the next year I knock off all the leaves again and start again. But you can only really do that on a really healthy tree.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
And some species won't take it. Like you can't do it on pines. You wouldn't be able to do it on some of the conifers and junipers because they need their needles to grow.
Right. They're very reliant on the energy they get from each leaf. They're not as
Yeah.
deciduous, you mean? Like,
Yeah, like deciduous trees, like for argument's sake, I
mm,
use Chinese elms a lot that I import when I do my classes. And the reason for that is one, they can live indoors or outdoors. They're very, very flexible trees in ways of like care and the conditions. But also too, if you do forget to water them and they do dry out, they're going to drop the leaves and then grow a new set. Whereas other trees will just die.
mm. And which
So and then
Chinese elm?
Chinese elm, because they're good, like they're a very hardy sort of plant. But they're the same thing with this jade here. Like that, I water once a week, but I could get away with once a month,
Yeah,
and it'll
right.
still start. Whereas the bougainvillea, if I forget that one day, it's a hot day, it's dead.
She's temperamental.
Yeah, well, they all are. They all are. That's the whole thing with bonsai is people really get into it and they get an emotional attachment with the plant. But what they forget is that there's a science behind it, and it only takes one hot day to totally dry them out, and they're done. They're toast.
Yeah,
So there's that loving kindness and checking in on it. Like some days you don't need to water, but right now I'm almost watering twice a day.
damn. Yeah,
And when you water all the way through. But that's peaceful in itself too. It's a beautiful thing to sit out there and just water,
yeah.
unless you're running late for something, and then it's
Then it just adds a little bit more to the morning, but yeah,
it does. I'd rather run late than lose my plants.
yeah, fair
I know
enough.
it's really rude to run late, but if I'm running late, it's because I'm watering my plants.
I mean, I think you showed me a little bit of your garden last time, dude, and it was
Do you want
awesome.
to see it?
Yeah, I think everyone will want to see it.
Excellent. I'll take you through it. I just silenced my wind chime out here because it's just too noisy for a phone call. But yeah, here we go. So this is my front. We come out. We've got a huge big elephant ear here.
Cool.
There's October forest. And my
Yeah.
koi carp here.
Oh yeah, the
They're,
carp pond. Yep,
they're
koi.
sleeping. And then I've got some of my bonsai at the front here. This one is going to be yellow, but I'm just going to defoliate this one, I think, this weekend. This is a coastal flame tree. The beautiful red rat flowers on it and
Cool.
spines. This is
Awesome.
a femmer. We've got a little bit, I just cut it back hard, so there's a little bit of back on it, but at the same time, it's now sprouting. The
Yeah.
annoying thing about this is I'm going to have to get tweezers. I'm going to have to pick every single dry bit off to make it look lush and green again. But That's the
How
work.
how old is the one
Little
there?
plant. This one,
Yeah.
that's about 35 years old.
Yeah, right. Wow.
This one here is a cork elm. This one is 75 years old. This little guy I made out of jade. He still has some whimsy sometimes. And these are all the bonsais I made at the LA Fair when I
Yeah.
was doing my demonstration. So they're coming along. All these trees and plants I have here are all rescued. Everything's rescued well, from people throwing them out, I suppose, and changing up the yards. There's a bougainvillea that I love. This
Yeah,
guy
nice.
was also rescued. I have my tortoise here. She's sleeping. What we got?
I love how much greenery you've packed into
This
it.
guy here is a piece of jade. It comes out of my jade hedge, which runs over here. So I've been farming pieces out and shaping them up. Well, these are amazing because you can shape them up. You can do anything with them. The leaves do get smaller. It's off a 100-year-old tree, and they're so hard to kill.
Yeah,
These
right.
are some Melaleucas I'm bringing up.
Cool.
Just shaping these up. They'll be for a class later in the year. Trying to support some native plants.
Let's go.
This here is native to Australia.
It looks like a gum
My
tree.
this is a swamp cypress.
Cool.
This goes bald. I just have this living in my pond. Here's a little gum tree.
Oh yeah.
Got annoying though because gum trees they drop their branches, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time I cut it back, it drops a branch. So I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm gonna do with that one.
Yeah, they just
Is
keep from the base is what ends up happening, right?
yeah. So I'll end up doing this little forest.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
little sprouts. This guy here is another femina that I just pot up. It was great. It was like a big bush when I transformed it into that. So next year it gets a bonsai pot. But bonsai should earn their pots. So that takes some time to grow up and then grow down, grow up and grow down to actually get to the desired bonsai.
Yeah.
There's a little potato bush.
Oh
It's been
yeah.
a bonsai about 2 years now, and the flowers are getting smaller and smaller. I do love a flowering bonsai. A little pine tree. Here's this little thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
So you see I've got the long stem on the top.
Yeah.
It's in growth. So what I'm doing is I'm getting that grow while I keep all this cut this twice a year. This will make all this fatter. And then I'll just cut it off. It's what you call a sacrifice branch.
Cool. Okay.
We got these little bougainvilleas. We make these in my classes. California Atlas cedar. That one I just got from a nursery. Chopped the top and wired the branches down. It really came up
When you wire
fast.
the branches down, do you drill a hole into the pot edge and then wire and wrap the wire through the hole? Is that the easiest way to do it?
Well, there's a couple of ways of doing it. So I do.
Like
Where have I got
train
one?
them.
Yeah, we train them. So this way here, you see there's wires here.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is I'm pulling that down. So yeah, these ones have training wires that are going straight down. And then I do another type of wiring, which you probably see on this guy here.
Yeah.
And they're right at a 45-degree angle on the branches, and that's where I can put bends and twists into them. And we do that from branch to branch. What else we got here? Nice little juniper with berries on it. Some little ficuses.
Oh, sick. Love a ficus.
They're fun. This guy here is another one I do in my class. This thing is a little trim actually. What have we got? Another little juniper, little juniper.
Cool. That's
Yeah,
heaps.
so here. There's a little ficus.
Oh, that one looks beautiful.
Yes, it's one of my faves.
Oh,
And then
look
we
at
come in here and we've got a nice little maple forest. We got burnt recently. I was just letting it recover.
that's cool. Oh, so you burn them as well?
No, it got burnt in the sun. This dragon
Oh,
blood tree. One of these fell down and the sun got it and it burned off the leaves. So yeah, my little garden, my
yeah,
little
yeah.
experiment. Right here, I've got some tiger butt ficus imported from China, and they're all different stages of training. So I did a little experiment where I wired one up and spread across, and it's still being moved around. This is one I wired up before. And these ones here I just cut back. A medium cut back, hard cut, barely cut back at all. Something I took back to nothing. And you can see it's just starting to sprout up. This guy's a medium cut back, but this one I actually took bald. And he's got the best growth at all. And all those possibilities now for me to shorten and bring the tree in. So it was an interesting little experiment which showed me that I can go hard.
Yeah, right.
Go hard and go home.
It's the same with like full-size trees as well, though. You can go really hard when you're cutting things back, and they often come back even better from a hard tree
Most of them will.
at the right
Yeah.
time. Yeah, right.
At the right time. And the right species. Like if you cut
Yeah.
a pine tree really hard back, it'll probably bleed to death and die.
No,
Like there's some you can, some you can't. Like I often see people cutting their the Italian pencil pines and cutting all the leaves off them and stuff, and so they just don't grow back properly. And cut them right off, they'll die.
yeah,
It's just sad. I really get upset when people kill trees.
yeah, especially in backyards, man. I was just I was at a friend's house. Well, I was helping my brother move yesterday, and he had the neighbors had this beautiful melaleuca that was like had grown like not straight up, but all like really crooked to the side. It was beautiful, really old, and I think so many people don't have an appreciation for how old and like how much that tree really matters in that context of their
Uh-huh.
back. So you see a
Well,
lot of
the
Go on.
ecosystem they create, and the trees have lives and they have rights too. We should be looking after them, putting
Yeah.
more in, not taking more out.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of beautiful melaleucas though, like especially the ones out by the ocean and have just been twisted and turned and like, oh my god, they're really, really stunning.
So
Yeah.
cool.
So
Have you ever heard of the Australian grass tree?
yes, I love them.
Have you ever tried bonsaiing one, or is that just not possible?
I suppose you could. I've seen a picture of a guy who's bonsai one in New South Wales, actually maybe Victoria,
Huh.
and it looked like a cute little tree. I suppose if you can get it small enough in a pot and you can just keep cutting the top out, it would probably bonsai.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I've dug them out and I've looked after them. The survival rate on them was pretty good actually. I know they're saving them. Mugger River grass trees, they save a lot of them from being destroyed, which is really great.
Yeah, they
So
do.
so beautiful.
Yeah. I actually have a this might be a fun little. They're so nice, dude.
So many of them. I gotta find some homes.
Yeah,
There's a
but
little bottle, a little brush.
bonsai. That's so nice. The
They
bonsai.
actually nice in the flowers.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I this might be a fun little experiment if we can do this now, but when you say Chinese elm, I realized I actually have a Chinese elm growing in the backyard.
Oh,
So
great.
yeah, it's pretty big though. I don't think I could move the bugger. It'd be too big to repot like that. But I wonder if do they work from cutting? Can you get a bonsai from a cutting?
Yeah, you can do a cutting. You can do couple of different types. So you can either do a shoot cutting. You could do an air layer, which is growing roots off a branch. You could also do a root cutting too. You can pull a root up, cut it, and grow it from a root as well. They're
Cool.
really great. Like, they're very handy trees.
And
These
you
are the little ones I do in the class. You come in with a little bush and you leave with a little tree.
that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really fun thing to do.
When do you do your classes? And I assume just local to LA.
At the moment, I will be doing them when I travel, for sure. So when I come back to Perth, I'll definitely be doing some. I come through Sydney, I will do some for sure.
Yeah.
They're a 2-hour class. I do them all over the place here. So I do them at Kimira Bonsai Nursery on the first Saturday every month. And then I will do them at like Orbar. I do them at Ronan's Bookshop. It's the oldest bookshop in Pasadena, I think, or California. It's a nice group they're gathering there. I'm doing them at my house. And I'm looking for other places to do them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you get how big are your classes? usually? Do you have a plant for everyone and everyone kind of joins in? Is it more of like you like a practical class, I guess?
Yeah, so it comes up. You hear my story, you hear the history and heritage of bonsai, you hear what bonsai is and descriptions. You see my trees, and then we get a little bushy guy like this, or gal, depending on the time of the year, and we get a little tree like this that's imported from China.
Yeah.
It's about 5 years old,
Yeah.
and we take it out of its roots. We put it into a special bonsai soil, which is very gravelly.
Yeah.
And you get to roots and understand more about the root structure. And then we wire it down into a little pot, like really full on bondage, sort of wire it into a pot so it can't move. And then you pack it in with a chopstick, and then we design and shape the tree using the principles of bonsai, which are basically there's only one branch ever coming out of one area at one time, so no two or three branches. No branch going straight up or straight down or inwards. So much in life, like you have to give yourself space to live and breathe. Same with the bonsai. Every branch needs its own area to be under the sun and to get the sun. Every branch needs to have its own place to grow out to. If there's no place to grow out to, then it has to come off. And then you have this try to do asymmetricals, and you also try to do the power of three. The power three is really important. It's all the way through nature, and it's through all our religions. There's something really special about it. And with bonsai, we do a third root trunk, a third branch structure, and a third leaves. And then you do 1/3 in the front and the party in the back, 2/3 in the back. So there's all these powers of three that you play in, and everything's also triangles. It's a triangle when you look straight down on the tree. It's a triangle when you look from the side of the tree. So if you see this tree here, it's just triangle,
Yeah.
triangle, triangle, and the same from the top. I mean, that's not the same on all bonsais, but it's kind of what you're going for. Each style, like a broom, would be different. That's like an even branch tree all the way around, or a cascade or windswept. But that's the basic principle of it. And then try to create pads out of it. But then each species of tree has a different thing that you're trying to do with it.
Yeah.
So the great thing about it is you never stop learning because there's always new techniques, there's always new species. And then every tree has a different care or a different style, different type. It's really very addictive.
Yeah. It sounds like you're pretty addicted too, dude.
Yeah.
Trees,
I've been doing it since I was 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you telling me a little bit about your story, and it just sounds like some really nice influence early on in your life, and then progressing to find like that things as they progress within what you were doing for work shifted a lot to being about bonsai and enjoying that in your spare time, and then it became more and more with your landscaping work.
Yeah, I mean, it's been my driving factor of, I suppose, how I've learned landscaping. I've kept all those plants alive. I've kept different species, and it's like the little niche of studies you're doing. And when you do that, you also, when you start having trees and plants, you start looking at everyone else's gardens as you go around, as you know, as the plant identifier.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
your story is like, yeah, totally. So the great thing is when you start having journeys, the journey isn't necessarily about where you're going. It's about the journey there. Literally, you're looking at every single plant as you are. And then you start noticing how they change different times of the year, how they're behaving, what they're doing to them.
Yeah.
And then you bring that back into your own life and your own garden. So I think there's a thing out there called green blindness. And I think that so many people suffer with it. And it's really nice when you open your eyes and just realize what we have around us.
Yeah, totally happened to me. Like I had no appreciation. I loved hiking, but then the moment it clicks, you can't help but notice. You start to notice how many different species there are. And then the variation, which is quite probably interesting in bonsai as well, is like the same species, but in two different locations with different stresses can look very different. So like smaller leaves, larger leaves, oddly shaped branches where it's crooked versus a straight tree. And it's a little bit of like people, I guess, like you were saying earlier, once you recognize these things, you gain like a benefit of being more mindful of your entire environment around you. And when I apply that to people, it's the same thing. It really is, hey.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I think in nature, everything is a yes. Like nature doesn't have vindictive natures. They don't try to get back at people. They don't hold grudges. When a tree loses its leaves, it grows another one. Drops of power, grows another one. And I think we hold on to so much. Even when I see people even caring about their plants, they've got this emotional attachment that they're actually not understanding the plant has certain needs.
Mm.
It doesn't need your emotional attachment. And then you worrying and stressing about it's probably going to make it worse than actually just letting it be a little bit. But
Yeah.
then I think from the same in the life, like if we looked at nature to actually inform us, we built all these big churches that have destroyed so much wilderness. And yet we have these beautiful forests, and you can feel your body singing when you go into these forests. Like I was in the Muir Woods recently in Northern California, and it's all big redwoods, and my heart just sank. Like I cried. It was just these are
Mm.
the places we should be worshiping.
Mm. There's so much inner and external beauty that when you go into national parks, I love it every time, man. I think it's critical to human nature to be able to access like green spaces really close to home. Be able
Oh,
to go there and just be away from everything. I think it really helps all. Hey.
well, that's why I volunteer at the Huntington Library and help care for over 400 of their bonsais there. A lot of these trees, the owners of them are now deceased, and there are some amazing trees. Some are a couple of thousand years old, and a lot of them were either taken for gardens or they're actually taken from forestry areas a long time ago.
Yeah.
And from there, you just feel at peace with these trees. There's this like a tree bathing sort of thing going on. But at the
Yeah.
same time, because it's a community garden in a way that they have over 1 million visitors every year, everyone's able to share in this. And there's a lot of other volunteers there also helping. And a lot of these guys live in apartments and stuff, and they couldn't actually have a garden, but
Yeah.
they're able to connect with nature and give back in a way
Yeah.
which
Do you
feels better.
do you have community gardens there? Is that a common practice in the area that people go to you have communal gardens?
They're around. I think they're more common on the East Coast and on the West Coast. Probably due to the fact that I don't know how their seasons work here. A lot of people have a yard here,
Yeah, okay.
got space in California. But
Yeah.
yeah, I understand how it works. How
Yeah.
about there?
Yeah, I've only become aware of it recently, and they're actually more common than I thought. Like there's two in my local region, and I've realized like whilst for me, for example, I live too far away, it's difficult for me to access, but it brings together the social aspect in a get your hands dirty, learn kind of experience for a lot of people. It provides opportunity that maybe you wouldn't have if you lived in apartments, which is I
Yeah.
think big. I would love to see like apartments with like green spaces on them, like half the like huge, like take up 2 blocks, right, instead of 1 block, and the
Hmm.
apartment's the same size, but they all have like I don't know how it would work, but a terrace that's I guess slated so that then they have enough sun each that you can have a green space. But the thing is, a lot of people aren't interested in that, so then you just have to like I don't know.
Well, the thing is that they have to get interested in it.
Yeah,
I mean, in LA now, they've realized that they pull those palm trees in to bring people in, but all they're doing is heating up the earth and everything's drying out more. So, like, now people are putting in trees, things cool down a lot more.
yeah,
The more green space we have around us, the better our oxygen is, the better our life is. There's a lot of studies that show just walking through green space can give you so many health benefits. So I don't think it's a matter of like people not respecting or knowing. It's just not knowing, and I think our governments need to do a better job of making sure we're healthy and our
yeah,
environments are healthy. We've always
yeah.
put parks in, but I think we need to keep them going. I
Yeah.
noticed a trend when I went back to Perth that everyone's building like big houses on little tiny blocks, and there's no yard.
There's no
And then
yard.
when they're stripping out all the land, it's like they're not leaving any nature strips. They're just literally taking out the whole area, and then people have to plant gardens again. It's like that's not right.
It doesn't. I heard the story of someone like, I mean, it happens probably all the time, but they didn't want to mow this patch of grass, so they decided just to concrete over it. It's like, man, so much missed opportunity. And it's just because you're right, like the education's not there. Like there's only, a percentage of people that understand how beneficial it is. I looked at a study about having plants in an office space, like a work environment, very office based, not outdoors. And it's something like even in hospitals now, you'll notice there's a lot more like even fake plants. I don't know how much fake plants work for the same,
But
but
they still trick you, people all the time. Like, there's a big members club here at Soho House. They're all like so impressed by the olive trees, but they're all dead and fake.
oh man.
That's sad.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the fake plants. I don't feel too good about it. But I saw this terrible Instagram reel the other day of someone like had a dead lawn and they spray painted it green.
Yeah, they do that. Well, they do that here a lot. There are a lot of lawns here that only green half the year because we
Yeah,
have some snowy areas. So there are breeds of lawn that just go totally dormant over the winter, and they spray them green.
it's crazy,
They
man.
literally spray them
Some
green,
of
and
that
then the
spray,
spring.
some of that spray is for frost protection as well, Julia.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, so they color it and it's frost protection.
Mm.
Ah, right, right.
Does
I,
have a
Yeah,
purpose beyond. Yeah, it's pretty grim the color, but I
the
guess it's better
color,
than looking at.
hey,
Yeah,
better than plastic.
man,
yeah,
the
it's
plastic.
better than AstroTurf.
Yeah, I feel sorry for
That
those
stuff's awful.
the dogs who have to go out and pee on AstroTurf. That is not an ideal situation.
Yeah.
Not at
No,
all.
there is a use for it in some places. I find when I'm driving around really wealthy neighborhoods, go, oh, that's a nice lawn. So they do the little strip on the verge, and it's like 9 times out of 10 it's plastic.
Yeah, right.
But every now and then it's not, and you're like, oh, someone knows what they're doing.
Yeah, there's I
Someone's
think
done it.
there's a lot of opportunity to educate people. So I think in any kind of field where we can, we push out and try and get more people interested. Obviously, like that's what you and I are trying to do, Daniel, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, but do you find that when do you work with any like quite high profile wealthy clients? Do you find that from our last conversation, do you find that they have an interest in their garden at all, or do they just
Oh
love
yeah.
it for the sake of it
No,
being?
they love when they get me in. They're getting me in for a specific purpose. Um, and I'm there because they really love something or they really want something special. And I shape a lot of bonsais for people in their gardens. Or I do actually a lot of gardens where we just rip out everything. That like lawns. Not I try to keep everything. I try to keep all these plants here are all plants I've taken out of people's houses. And if I can, I won't take them out. But sometimes I have to come out.
Yeah,
And then I'll try to put things in that belong in their space. A lot of times people want to put plants in that they emotionally connect to, but they haven't done any research or understanding of what that plant's needs are.
yeah,
And so they'll try to put roses in the shade and get upset because they don't give any flowers. Or they put, they just put everything in the wrong places. And they get really emotionally upset about it. And then it becomes draining. And then they get different advice from different places. So I come in and just make sure that they understand what this plant's needs are and that the look that they're going for is met. And then I do a lot of bonsai work and koi ponds. So I do a lot of big koi ponds as well.
yeah,
I like going in and playing with ponds and water and but do a lot of fixing. I don't really want to build them. I kind of I'm too old to be lugging around big rocks.
yeah.
Um, but at the same time though, I like fixing them because I'm conserving water there and I'm saving lives of the little fishies. So
Yeah.
I do Kevin Hart's pond. He's got a beautiful big koi pond. And he's very into his fish.
That's cool.
But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I did Brandon Lee's garden, and he's really into his garden. He's done. He actually came out and helped and worked with me in the garden,
oh,
which is really nice. He wanted to learn, and we did it together. That's special.
yeah,
I and I started my landscaping business actually during COVID. When that all happened, you couldn't have people over, and then everyone realized how bad they were at their gardens, and that's when my business got kicked off. And people eventually, I reckon, some people just had me over to chat, just
yeah,
because they're lonely. So there's a lot of that sort of in relationship fixing of people like, oh, I want this, and like I like wild, and someone likes topiary.
yeah. I also think there's something about being out in nature that makes you open up a little bit, or being in a green space at least. Like if you've got a big garden, you can, really, really green it up. I would say it's like, I mean, back in the castles and the medieval times, they used them as places to meditate, to reflect, and to make decisions about like war and all kinds of crazy decisions, I'm sure.
Oh, there's a lot of science saying getting into green space will actually can revitalize you, bring your pulse down, give you longevity. All the blue zones are
Yeah.
dealing with it.
Yeah.
And like two, there's a lot of talk about, well, there's two ways of dealing with a lot of disease. One is through antibiotics and chemicals. But the other one is like in nature, there is a yin for yang, everything that's created out there. So that's in our soil, that's in our grass. If we have enough contact with the earth around us, the chance that we can actually get all the microbes we already need. And there's a lot of talk now about microorganisms actually in our own bodies, and realize that they also need microorganisms to be in the food that we're eating too.
Yeah.
So the more connected we are locally and connected to nature, I think the better everything is going to be.
Yeah. Do you
That's my soapbox.
yeah. Do you manage to grow any
I
food?
lost you.
Can you hear me now? Yellow. I think if you want, Daniel, you can go sit inside. Maybe your internet's slightly better on the inside. That's
Yep,
more,
inside.
if that's more comfortable for you. I was gonna say,
Yep.
are you able to grow any food at home?
You know, I have. When I lived in New York, I did.
Yeah.
Everything I grew in New York was actually edible. And here in LA, we have so many critters. I have possums, raccoons, skunks, all sorts of animals in my yard every day. So they just eat everything.
Yeah, right.
So I grow mint.
That's something.
I have
I
the
used to
same
grow
problem.
tomatoes.
I live
You
near a
do?
cafe and there's always rats around and they eat everything I try to grow, except like rocket and chives.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're pests.
Yeah, I have rat too and a chihuahua. You can hear him now.
Yeah, I've got a dog. He's more of a menace for open dirt than plants, at least.
Oh, that's cool. My dog doesn't have any open dirt left. It's all covered in bonsais.
Yeah, he just ruins my like progress spaces where I'm like working on the garden. I'll have like a spare patch. He'll go out and just dig a giant hole.
Yeah, I have the same problem with my cat. He I think it's just a sandpit for him to go to the toilet in, but
Really?
it's really not. I mean, as in my little veggie garden space that I've tried to set up, I've gone for
That's
very
behind you.
a the like I put the seeds in, I like get them to shoot up, and then I just let it go wild, like because it's a mixture of compost and a little bit of like soil out of the garden. I've just moved it from one part to the other, and
Uh-huh.
so compost is made up of food scraps, which sometimes have some nice seeds, but then
Mhm.
also I just get the dry lawn grass that we have and I let it dry out and then I add that to the compost. So I get lots of weed species, which in one way like brings a lot of like brings some pollinators because I have so many plants shooting up everywhere. But in another
Yeah.
way, it creates a very high competitive and it's a very messy garden. Very messy garden. But I just let it go wild. Absolutely wild. And then even my because where I live is like my dad's house. I fully just like let the lawn go whenever he travels a lot. So whenever he's not here, the lawn does not get mowed. The garden gets left unchecked, and I try and like let everything like drop seed, go crazy, and then I clean it all up 2 days before he gets back.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
yeah, it's my way of trying to like provide some sort of habitat. Unfortunately, it's not a very stable habitat for local lizards and frogs that we've got because we've got a big lake nearby, and we occasionally get a snake, which is pretty cool. Um, and no turtles or anything like that. But yeah, I try and do it that kind of way. I would love to find plants to plant out the garden. What I do usually is like as I'm going for a walk wherever nearby, if one of the street plants has dropped some seeds, I'll take some
Mhm.
seeds home, try and get them to grow, or I'll take small juvenile plants and just plant them in the garden and see. But unfortunately, I haven't quite learnt the skills of propagating, and I don't nurture these little plants enough, so they only the toughest make it through.
You have to do a lot of nurturing, a lot of experimenting. I do a lot of cuttings of nurturing, yeah. And seeds are hard. Like seeds, there's a lot of nurturing that goes through, and there's a lot of steps, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But the throw and grow is always a way to go and see how it goes. What have you had success with?
I've had a couple of Melaleucas pop up, and I'm hoping they're this rare and threatened species, but I have a feeling they're not. But what else? I've had a Wheel of Fire, which is this beautiful I think it's a Stenocarpus. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this one. I'll show the zoom. So I found one of these just in my local park. Just had like a little seedling. It just dropped off, and it produces these like wheels that like are very, very impressive.
Oh, very cool.
Very.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm on the Gold Coast in southeast Queensland.
Oh, nice. Love the Gold Coast.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. I'm super lucky to live here. Hey, oh, this thing doesn't want to move. Okay. But yeah, I just pick up random stuff like that when I can see it, try and put it in. But now I've realized like the benefit of the humidity when you've got a seed or you've got a very small plant. You almost like, you don't really do this as much probably, but as in propagating. Courtney, you probably know quite well. Do you cover with plastic to try and, or some sort of keep the moisture in? Is that the
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm sprouting seeds,
when you grow
you go.
Yeah.
You're right, you go. I don't actively do
You
it
go.
as much at home, but yeah, I've learned things about propagating. But if you do it, Daniel, at home,
Oh no, I
tell
don't do that
us.
often. I don't do that often. I've done it a few times.
Yeah.
Daniel
Each
sounds like
species is different.
Daniel, you sound like you're a rescue cowboy.
I'm a rescue cowboy. I'm very much I think there should be an RSPCA for plants, and people should not be able to treat them cruelly, and I'm there to rescue.
You
I've been
know
doing
what?
it since
I reckon you'd get a lot of hits as well. I mean, you just have no space in your garden though.
no,
And no
Every
time.
time I come home, it's just like there's another plant. It's like, well, how am I going to get in? It's plant Jenga, and for some reason I get in, but I can't park my car. I've got to put two cars out there.
Yeah.
And that lawn is quite big, and it's just all bonsai benches now. So it's yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, you definitely gotta convince some people to take some bonsais with them home.
Yeah, I need to open up the garden for sale now. The thing is, you never know when they're. You never want to let them go in time because you don't think they're finished. So
Yeah.
I need to get some people just to take them and they can finish them because they're never finished.
That's one of those hard things, isn't it? Is like when you've rescued something and you're trying to get it to a point where you can put it like in someone else's garden. It's like you're really judgmental of whether it's ready or not. Like I feel like as gardeners, we put stuff in our own garden and we're like, oh, like I know it's a work in progress, so you're not as judgmental of it. But if you're trying to give it to a client, it's much harder.
Oh, really hard. They want it looking good. And then the other side is too is when you rescue stuff, it takes a while to get well and strong. And then by that stage, you're kind of got an attachment with it.
Yeah.
It's got its phase. But it's good. And I do feel good when I do home them. It's because we're only momentary gardeners. We're going to pass it too. So hopefully all my plants outlive me.
Yeah.
So, every now and then I go and find one which does not outlive me. Just notice when my kangaroo paws have died.
Yeah. I mean, I think I said this to you last time. I literally haven't. I'm unfamiliar with kangaroo paws almost entirely, but they look like a beautiful plant from Google Images. I'll say that much.
Oh, they are.
They're pretty, yeah. When they're all in flower, if you've got a good clump of them, it's pretty special.
Yeah, they're kind of amazing, and what they live through to these flowers look so it's almost like fur-like, and they're so iridescent some of the colors.
Right.
They give so much of such a barren sort of environment. But yeah, it's a state flower.
You probably do well with them, Julio. They really thrive on neglect. So.
Yeah, I probably would then. I mean, yeah, you can very comfortably call my garden a neglected garden, but it's a purposely neglected garden. So like,
Okay,
Well, there
you
you go.
keep saying that.
so the ones that I'm like, a plant that I really feel like doesn't belong, will not benefit the rest of the species. I do take them out, I am conscious about what gets to stay and what doesn't, but it's very rarely that I make that decision to take something out because most of the time I find it just sorts itself out. Or I have to do a massive cleanup, you know, 6 months down the track and that sorts everything out anyway.
Well, there
You
you go.
mustn't
I
have
mean,
much onion weed or something like that.
We don't get onion weed up here, lucky me.
Yeah, that's pretty lucky because that's one thing that you'll want to take out and won't be able to.
I know. I saw it in South
yeah.
Australia. That stuff's tough.
Yeah.
One of my clients has got in her rose garden, and she used to have a
Mm.
lawn, and she put a fake turf over it, and now it's coming up around the edges, and it's just such a nuisance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Maintaining the
hard in those situations to do anything just like manual removal, like it's pretty impossible.
Hmm. Yeah, trying to teach people that if you are going to dig it out, you've got to try to find the
Yeah.
bulb. Yeah, they don't get it.
The
They
the
just want
bulb
to pull it.
and its 100 babies.
That's it.
Yeah, it's a
We're just starving it to death by pulling its leaves off.
Mm. I found that doesn't work. Hey, like even in situations where like I've been taught that, the more you get rid of the leaves, like the energy will decrease. I have not found that works with onion.
Interesting. Because
Yeah,
there's
it
also a theory
just
too that plants
persists.
give each other energy and strength too, don't they?
Yeah,
So it might be absorbing the energy from other plants or just little bulbs.
oh, I think it outcompetes everything around it for sure.
Yeah, this is coming through plastic grass.
Mm.
It's kind of
I'm,
funny, really.
I'm trying to look up. Yeah, this is onion grass. Onion weed, onion grass. Actually, that's not it
The
there.
sad thing is, it actually looks quite nice when it takes over your lawn, but then it dies off in the winter and you just have a mud heap.
Yeah,
I've had a
yeah,
couple.
it's
I've
not a
had
long term one.
no. It's a annual. What do you call it? Perennial.
Yeah, and
So it'll literally kill off your lawn, and then as soon as it's killed off your lawn, it actually looks quite pretty. Then it
Mm.
dies off it, and then you just have mud.
Yeah,
And just
it's
when you got the lawn through again,
herbaceous, you would say probably.
yeah,
oh, there you go.
I
Then it comes up.
my biggest challenge right now is I have a grass that has, the very sticky seeds.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
and it's spread very aggressively through my through my lawn and garden. And because of my approach, I'm still committed to just leaving it, but I can see it's getting only worse. I don't know
It's your new lawn.
what
Yeah.
time I need to step in and be like, right, crunch this guy.
Well, once it kills off your other lawn, then that's your lawn.
I'm still at about, I reckon I have about 6 or 7 like grass lawn species at least.
Right.
And then I
Well,
have
that's good.
that grow all through the lawn as well, whether it's false dandelion. They're all almost all weeds. I have a couple of native species, but I just try and increase biodiversity as much as I can. I actually, funny enough, get a lot of the golf course birds come into our garden, even with the risk of a cat inside the house that's like staring at the glass, like twitching. You know, they
That's
still.
Just
funny.
let it get to a point where you think, oh, this isn't attractive anymore, it's not useful, and then just cover it in like 100 mil of compost and plant whatever you want.
Yeah, true. Try to do
That's
that.
the
Oh
only
yeah.
way I overcame the weeds in my rental. I was like, okay, just gonna have to go over the top because you'll never outcompete like a established seed bank.
Yeah. Yeah. I do it by putting plastic over it, killing it,
Mm.
letting it, and putting plastic over it, and then killing it, and then doing that.
Yeah, right.
When
Yeah.
I actually recently did a little what do you call it, Zen garden. We took out the lawn and did a gravel and then did a little island in the middle. But I don't think my guys
Mm.
dug deep enough because the grass kept coming back through. It's like,
Oh no.
we got it out though. It worked. It was like, thanks, guys.
What you could do is the opposite. You spray paint the grass a gravel color, and then
Yeah, that's lovely.
I feel like we're really taking steps backwards here, Julie.
Yeah. So as I was saying before, my lawn disappeared as my bonsai benches got bigger and bigger and bigger, and kind of just left a pathway. And now the dog just runs in the pathway, so that pathway in the winter turns to mud. So in my hindsight, I got killer litter, the non-clumping type, the 100% clay, and I poured it on the ground because it behaved like a gravel, and it stayed clean, and it was really great. Cut to the summer when it dries out and he's been running out so much, that clay is now just a dust. So now the dust pours everywhere, and so I went and got some natural carpets and laid them all over my lawn and my back area. So it's like a big one tent now. But you know, it was a great way of doing it. It cost me $300, and it looks good, and it's been working really, really well. I was going to do a proper job of laying flagstone down, but 1 hour later, and my problem's fixed for now.
Yeah, nice.
Just like my grass problem's fixed for now.
Yeah. You just got to make your lawns gradually smaller and smaller by increasing your garden space.
That is the goal.
Yeah, kill off the lawn.
Yeah, that is the goal. It's hard to.
What's your dad's thought on this?
No. I you know what I said to him? I said, I will do this completely like on my own, you know, like I'll do it all, you don't have to do anything. But I think he's more convinced that he doesn't care so much about it being lawn, he just doesn't want to have to do any work.
Oh yeah.
I just have to I've found the right shrubs now that could replace a lot of the lawn area that will never get over too high, and you know, I have the right requirements, and obviously there's going to be work. But his fear is that I'm gonna, you know, bounce on out of here. Good luck with it all, buddy. You know, and he does not want to. That's why I like the lawn nice and easy. But
I just increase the size of the garden beds slowly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. So where the garden bed is, I just now have planted a row of trees, like another 30 centimeters out, another meter out, and I just slowly push them out.
Trees in 30 centimeters.
Because I'm just gonna.
I can see his concern.
I'm gonna overcrowd it. It's gonna be like a rainforest, too thick that it can't get really big. Although the winter, I'm just letting, you know, compaction compete and comes out on top.
The cumbersome fence. I was impressed when I lived in the UK. I was driving down one of the freeways, and I noticed they got their, what would you call it, like a brush in between the road and the farm, and it turned into like 20-foot high trees. It was just like a thicket. Really, it was like all sorts of shit they'd grown through there to survive. And what I'm doing is I'm cutting through 3/4 of the way and leaving a third of the bark, and then laying the trees down, and then weaving them in together. And then they let it, and then it basically got a 6-foot, 8-foot high fence that was really thick and about 4 foot wide of living branches, and then let that grow up again.
Yeah, cool.
And then they keep cutting that. So it's like really interesting to let this natural strip grow, let the trees go out of control, but then instead of killing all the trees, they just wove them into a big thick wall, which I thought was a great way of using nature without having to destroy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I most of my recipes come from nearby, and if they weren't all trees, I would love to have some shrubs for free. But obviously, what grows best is eucalypts here, and that one I don't know if it's safe to have near the house as a big tree. I should try and bonsai those guys. That would probably be more possible for me. I'm just going to commit the time.
Bonsai them.
Yeah,
because
you know what, they grow in. We have on the golf course nearby. They grow in the bunkers, the sand bunkers, because they love sandy, gravelly regions. So I just go there and I pull them all out nice and easy, and then I just put them in the soil, or I take them to work sites and I just plant them there. But
cool. And
what's that?
What's your survival rate like?
50%.
That's not bad.
Not bad. But eucalypts are pretty should be in theory if I put them in the right soil should be pretty good at surviving usually. But I
It's
find
normally how big they are. They have a taproot, and
yeah
if you damage that taproot, they
yeah okay
whenever they,
that's definitely what it is then. Yeah.
yeah. So if you can get them with the hot taproot before they've done all that, you should be okay.
Okay. No, most of them had developed a taproot, and it was just dependent on how much of the root I got. I've noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So you got to get them young. That's why we don't really do a lot of collecting eucalyptus bonsai
yeah,
because they just don't like being messed with
yeah,
their taproot.
yeah.
And that's why too with eucalyptus sometimes it's much better to put them in as a seedling than it is to actually put them in as a big plant because the taproot's already bent and twisted around
Yeah,
the pot.
yeah, yeah,
It's really cool that you just rescue the plants though. Love that.
yeah. I mean, that's why my garden's so slow and so messy because it's just whatever I find. But I choose to be pretty biased towards natives. I'm pretty biased towards natives, especially because my current garden is mostly not native. So it's definitely something I'm interested in. I had another question about the Chinese elm.
Yep.
What did I put my Chinese elm in? What substrate?
So the substrate I use, I mean, you can grow in anything. It can grow in a potting mix and whatnot. If you're going to dig it out of the ground,
Yeah.
then you put it in a pumice mix. If you're growing it as a bonsai, I use a third pumice, a third volcanic rock, a third another rock called akadama.
Okay.
Akadama is like the baked clay. It looks like pure leather. So, sure if you can see that. That's a piece of akadama.
Okay.
Looks like a piece of baked clay. It looks like a piece of pure leather. And then we've got the gravel mix here.
Okay.
So it's like a third. And it's a really gravelly mix, so it helps pull oxygen and the nutrients through when we water it, get the humidity right. So if you have a small pot and you put in just potting mix, what will happen all the time is the pottings will dry right out and you start getting clumps and not getting water, or it gets too wet and dries out unevenly. Whereas this sort of soil mix can be really nice and hot, and I can water it twice a day, and I'm not going to overwater my trees
Okay.
because it just drains straight through.
Yeah.
So yeah, so potting mix is interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone
Okay.
has their own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have I can't remember the quite a porous. I can't remember the name for it now. I'm useless as a gardener, but quite porous like air stone things that I can add to a mixture and get some gravel pretty easily. So
There you
I've
go. Yeah.
got that.
But just normal soil, they'll grow in normal soil too. It's just how you water it really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like you can grow in pure clay as well, but I don't like doing it. It's not as easy.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'll avoid clay. That's pretty easy though.
Well, the academa is actually baked clay, so
Yeah.
it keeps it stuff. Um, so what type of plants are your favorite types to identify?
I really like Melaleucas. Funny enough, that you've worked with a few Melaleucas. I'm a big fan of Melaleucas, um, because I really like we have a group in Australia called Epicris. It's
Right.
like a heathy group of plants that grows in like this um, coastal sandy soils. And they often have really spiky leaves and are quite, not the nicest bush to walk through, but in spring, man, just a wildflower parade. So because they're mainly identification from flowers and, a little bit from the leaves and stuff like that, I enjoyed those quite a lot.
Was that like a gelatin wax? Would that fall in that category?
A Georgian wax?
A gelatin wax.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd say it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, these like pretty similar to that, I think. Um, you know what? My probably as a category, my favorite is the plants that you see everywhere. I like really common species more than the rare and threatens.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think
music as well.
what's that?
I like that with music as well.
It's something about the fact that people are more likely to see it. I'm more likely to see it. That knowing it and trying to figure it out makes it even more fun. Whilst the rare and threatens, I'm like, other people have a deep interest in that. I'm like, I trust these guys to really put that content out there and put that stuff out there. So I'll focus on stuff every day.
That's nice. It's a good
Yeah.
way of doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, your plants you have there in the Gold Coast are pretty cool. You guys can grow so much.
Oh man, perfect. Subtropical, enough wet weather, but you get sand quite easily, so you can really get quite a lot of variation in species.
And you don't need to irrigate there, or do you need to do a bit of watering?
Sometimes during summer, it's worth watering,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah, here it's every day otherwise.
Yeah,
Or you do a big water once a week. But yeah, that's
yeah. Yes, during summer, I'd say, and it depends. Like we're very heavily influenced by La Nina and El Nino, very heavily influenced. The last few years have been quite wet, so we haven't needed to water almost at all. But when it's a dry season, you got to get onto that watering pretty regularly for sure.
great.
But then it
My
depends.
grandma used to podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely come visit if you're ever coming down the southeast.
I will. My aunt lives down there.
Cool,
Maybe come see her at some point. I
sweet.
often go to Byron Bay too for New Year's.
Oh yeah, Byron's very
Yeah.
nice. Byron has developed since I knew Byron has changed completely, but it is still a very beautiful place. Just if you're interested in seeing some really cool Australian like national park, I guess there's some really big national parks really close to Byron Bay, just a bit further south, that
Mhm.
are stunning in springtime. Which I mean,
Oh,
the summer is a bit late. It'll be summer, so you'll have missed most of it. But I think there's still Banksia flowering in summer, which is usually quite nice.
yeah, Banksy's are beautiful.
Yeah. Have you ever tried
It's
to
special.
Banksy?
Yeah, they bonsai well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they bonsai well. They bonsai well. Lucas bonsai well. The tea trees, paper barks, flower brush.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, there's a lot of Australian natives bonsai really well.
Interesting.
They don't mess it up being collected though.
Yeah.
The Melaleucas can be collected. They work well collected. I saw some beautiful ones in Western Australia of collected trees.
WA has
So, yeah.
yeah.
But you guys have some pretty good Melaleucas there too, don't you? The tea
Yeah.
trees.
We've got a good range of tea trees here. I think our Melaleucas are more interesting, but they've got a lot more interesting annuals and orchids and other groupings of plants, I'd say.
Yeah, they're really good with wildflowers. I think three-quarters of the
Yeah.
world's wildflower population comes from WA.
Yeah.
It's Mediterranean climate there. It's very dry most of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, dude. Well, thanks for your time. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
No, it was
Really
really
good speaking with you.
yeah, Courtney, or Billy, did either of you want to ask Daniel any questions whilst you got him? Or myself?
No, I mean it was interesting to see all the bonsais, and to hear about the Australian natives, I should say, that work well over there.
Mhm. Oh,
Do you
yeah.
do much like bonsai type like pruning to larger trees like in gardens?
Yes, I do. One of the things when I got into the business I'm in is because back in the 1950s, all the gardeners here used to be Japanese up in internment camps and everything else, the only jobs they really could get. But the Japanese know gardening, they know gardens.
Mm,
And
mm,
now a lot of those people have aged out and their children aren't doing it. So there's a whole different wave of people doing, Mexican sort of laborers doing the gardens, and some do amazing jobs, but they don't know about black pine. So for the last 4 years, I've been going around LA shaping people's trees back into shape that were going out of whack. So yeah, I do a lot of garden bonsai. So they're a lot of fun.
yeah, cool. Yeah, I love Japanese. I like I'm not sure, I'm probably not um describing it correctly, but I find like a big part of the Japanese like gardening style is like there's a lot of input, like it's very like detailed, but it's like you don't see the hand of the gardener so much. Like a lot of it's made to look natural or like
Yeah.
yeah, like not like clear square hedges and stuff like that.
No, they're very, very natural in the way they look at gardening and Zen and spaces and simplicity and there's lots of stories and reasons why the gardens are the way they are. And I love discovery and nooks and sounds and smells and touches and stories, and there's whimsy and there's mystery. I love gardens of reveal. They really have a magic way of how they tell a story through a garden. But it's all the way through Asia. It's like that. How they do it a little bit differently per country. But yeah, it's very special like that. Maybe next time I'll do one of these from one of the Japanese gardens here, or we can do it from one of the other bonsai collections I work on.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we've got a garden here that we take care of that we just recently worked on their trees. They have an acer in the back garden, and they've got two cercis, the forest pansy, and we just did like big prunes on them to try and kind of start to establish a bit more of that like bonsai type, like accentuating the trunks and kind of creating like really compact pads of foliage, like different levels of foliage. So yeah, it'd be cool to see some of your work, because it's not something that I really do regularly. I'm usually very like anti tree pruning. Like I like to just let a tree grow, but in a small courtyard you kind of have to do a lot of care, a lot of management.
You're doing them a favor sometimes and stopping them getting too big. Once they get too big, they're a danger, and they often get chopped down. They always say
a lot
the
of people go, "Oh, it's too big, get rid of it."
Yeah. So it's
a shame.
You're actually giving them long longevity and cutting them right, cutting the right way. I really enjoy it. If you look at my Instagram, I have a lot of videos of me doing trees. But I post them all the time. But yeah, we can also share some of the. But yeah, it's fun. I really enjoy it.
Sorry, I couldn't be super present. I've been cleaning the house. I've got a house inspection in a couple of days, so
I mean,
busy Sunday.
Clean house is a good house.
Yeah.
A good combination. Listen,
got to do it.
do the chore.
Do it.
Yeah.
I used to let the power of anger help me clean the house. But the problem is, if you're around, I used to get really angry. So now I don't. I use the power of love because it's too dangerous.
Yeah, no, it's been a nice morning so far.
Wonderful. Well, you guys enjoy your Sunday, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Yeah.
Any bonsai questions?
Listen.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day. Really appreciate it, dude.
No problem. It's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye.